Your worst enemy cannot harm you as much as your own unguarded thoughts. The Buddha. So let me ask you, have your thoughts been your companions lately? Or have they become your captors? Have you ever felt like your own mind is the one thing you wish you could run from, yet cannot? What if I told you that your thoughts aren't problems to fix, but portals to freedom? What if inner peace isn't something you chase, but something you remember? If these questions stir something within you, then you are exactly where you need to be. Welcome, dear soul, to Mindful Footsteps. Here, we don't just talk about mindfulness. We walk it, we live it, we breathe it. So if you're ready to walk this ancient path with modern feet, I invite you to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone whose heart may be silently seeking. And before we begin, take one breath, slowly, deeply. Let this be your first step. The nature of thought. Friend or foe? Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt trapped in the storm of your own mind? A moment when one small thought spirals into 10, then 100, until you're no longer living in the present, but lost in a world that exists only inside your head? If your answer is yes, you're not alone. Even the wisest among us are not immune to the illusions of the mind. But here lies a profound truth. You are not your thoughts. Let that sink in for a moment. You are not your thoughts. This single realization has freed countless souls from invisible chains. It is the very foundation of inner liberation in the Buddhist path. But what does it truly mean? And more importantly, how do we live this truth, not just understand it intellectually? The mind is like the sky, and thoughts are merely passing clouds. Imagine the vast, endless sky. Now picture the clouds, some light and fluffy, others dark and heavy with thunder. Yet no matter how many clouds pass by, the sky itself remains untouched. The same is true of your mind. Your true mind is vast, open, and unshakable. Thoughts? They're just clouds. They come and go. But they are not you. And yet most of us fight these clouds. We chase them, analyze them, fear them, try to make them disappear. But what if the answer isn't resistance, but stillness? The story of young Tenzin, a clouded mind. Let me share a story with you. One that doesn't just belong to temples or books, but resonates with every heart that has walked the path inward. There was once a novice monk named Tenzin. He was diligent, passionate, full of drive, but inside he was burning with jealousy and frustration. He felt overlooked, compared, undervalued. His heart resented another monk who always seemed to be praised. When he came to me, his eyes were storms. I didn't say anything. Instead, I handed him a bowl of clear water. Then I gave him a small stick and asked him to stir it. The water turned cloudy. "Can you see your reflection?" I asked. He shook his head. It's too murky." I nodded. We sat in silence. Slowly, the water began to settle, and his reflection appeared. "That is your mind," I said softly. "Let it settle. Don't stir it further with judgment." The modern mind, a digital storm. Let me ask you, how often do you wake up and immediately scroll through your phone, absorbing thoughts, news, fears that aren't even yours? How often do you feed your thoughts rather than observe them? When Elon Musk posts a controversial tweet or world leaders clash on the global stage, how quickly does your mind latch on, react, spiral? It's not wrong, it's human, but it is unconscious. And Buddhism calls us to one thing above all: wake up. How to practice this in everyday life. This truth isn't meant to be poetic. It's meant to be practiced, moment by moment. So starting today, try this. When a negative thought arises, don't fight it. Simply name it gently. That's fear. That's insecurity. That's comparison. Then pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, is this true? Is this helpful? Who would I be without this thought? This quiet inquiry, without judgment or urgency, begins the process of freedom. The clouds lose their grip. The sky is revealed again. A moment of reflection, just for you. Now I invite you to look within. What kind of thought tends to control your mind the most? Is it fear, regret, the need for approval? Share it with me in the comments. Be honest. This space is for awareness. If you could let go of one recurring thought, what would it be? Let this video become your mirror. Why this teaching is so powerful. When Oprah Winfrey once said, "You become what you believe," she echoed an ancient Buddhist truth. Your inner formations create your outer world. Every repeated thought carves a groove in the brain. What you entertain, you become. So here's the final question for this part. Are you thinking thoughts that build you up or break you down? Bonus practice. The sky meditation, 3 minutes a day. Close your eyes. Visualize the sky, limitless, open, vast. See each thought as a passing cloud. Don't chase it. Don't push it away. Return to the sky, your awareness. Do this daily. See what shifts. This is only the beginning. The mind, when left unchecked, becomes a restless tyrant. But when seen through the lens of awareness, it becomes your most powerful ally. Walk this path with me. Don't fear the storm. Let it pass. And always remember this. You are not the cloud. You are the sky. Meditation. The inner reset button. You don't need to shave your head, wear robes, or move to a monastery to experience peace. You don't need incense, silence, or solitude. You need only one thing, a breath. Yes, one single breath can begin to change the trajectory of your entire day, even your life. But how often do we forget it? How often do we trade the simplicity of breathing for the complexity of thinking? Let me ask you this. When was the last time you truly felt your breath without trying to fix it, hold it, or judge it? Most people see meditation as a technique, but in truth, it's a homecoming, a return to who you already are, beneath the noise. The daily reset practice. It's beautifully simple. Sit, breathe, begin again. Breathe in, count to 4. Hold, count to 4. Exhale slowly, count to 6. And as thoughts come, and they will, don't battle them. Smile inwardly. Gently return to your breath, not because you failed, but because you remembered. What happens next may surprise you. Do this for just 5 minutes each day, and watch. Your brain, that once chased every anxiety, every distraction, will begin to quiet. Neural patterns start to shift. The mind learns to favor stillness over noise, presence over projection. Not because you're forcing it, but because you're feeding it something new: silence, rhythm, and presence. A moment from my own journey. There were years I meditated out of discipline, but not out of peace. I treated meditation like a duty, like a check on a to-do list. Sit, breathe, focus, control. But then, one morning, I sat beside the old stone garden near the north wall of the monastery. The air was cool, the world was still, and a single sparrow sang. For the first time in all my years, I wasn't trying to be still. I simply was. There was no effort, no goal, only breath, presence, peace. In that moment, meditation stopped being something I practiced. It became who I am, and that dear one, is the lesson. You do not meditate to control your thoughts. You meditate to remember the self that exists beyond them. Because beneath every thought, every story, every identity, there is a quiet witness, and that witness is you. Let me ask you, can you give yourself just 5 minutes today to come home? Try it now if you'd like. Close your eyes. One breath in, one breath out. Let that be enough. Let that be a beginning. Gratitude as transformation. Gratitude, it is one of the simplest words, but one of the most misunderstood. Most of us treat it like a checklist. 3 things I'm grateful for: a warm meal, a kind friend, a sunny day, all beautiful, all fleeting. But true gratitude is not about listing what you have. It's about transforming how you see. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been grateful? Not for the good that arrived, but for the storm that broke you open? This is the deeper layer. This is where gratitude becomes a spiritual force, not a habit, not a ritual, a revelation. The advanced practice. Try this each night before you sleep. Don't ask, "What made me happy today?" Instead, ask, "Where was the tension today? Where did I feel resistance?" Then, lean in. Ask yourself, what was the hidden gift inside that discomfort? Perhaps it was a conflict that taught you patience, a delay that reminded you to slow down, a rejection that redirected your path. Write it down. One sentence is enough. You are not collecting affirmations. You are rewiring perception. The story of the broken businessman. Some time ago, a businessman came to our monastery. Sharp suit, expensive watch, empty eyes. He had just suffered a crushing loss, a merger gone wrong. His voice was heavy with blame, with shame. I asked him gently, "What did this loss give you?" He laughed bitterly. "Give me? It ruined me." But months later he returned. No watch, no tie, but lighter, freer. He said, "I finally saw my worth was never tied to the deal. I had confused success with identity, and failure broke that illusion." He didn't thank the failure right away, but when he finally did, he was no longer broken. He was transformed. This is the secret. Gratitude isn't about ignoring pain. It's about unwrapping it, turning it in your palms, seeing what it taught you. Because life doesn't always hand you comfort, but it always hands you meaning, if you're willing to look. So tonight, I invite you, don't just say thank you for what went well. Say thank you for the challenge, for the resistance, for the part of the day you wanted to forget, because that may be the very place your soul grew the most. Emotional alchemy, from pain to power. Alchemy, the ancient art of transforming something ordinary into something precious. In the West, it was said to be the quest for turning lead into gold. But in Buddhism, our alchemy is different. We do not melt metals. We melt the walls of the ego. We turn anger into clarity. We turn sadness into compassion. We turn suffering into strength. Let me ask you this. What emotion are you carrying that you've never fully understood? Is it anger? Is it grief? Is it something so old you don't even know where it began? You see, emotions aren't problems to be solved. They're messengers. And every messenger carries a lesson, if we dare to listen. The practice of naming and reframing. Next time you feel overwhelmed, pause, not to suppress the feeling, but to see it clearly. Take a pen, write down exactly what you're feeling, then ask, what is this emotion trying to teach me? What is it showing me about myself, about what I need? And then, the most important question, how can I express this, not with reaction, but with compassion? Anger can become truth when expressed with care. Sadness can become connection when shared with honesty. Fear can become wisdom when met with presence. My own story. There was a time I carried resentment, a quiet, persistent weight inside my chest. It was toward a teacher who had once humiliated me publicly during my novice years. I never responded. I never confronted him. But I also never let go. I carried that ache in silence for years. Until one winter morning, I was sitting in meditation beside a snow-covered tree. The branches were bowed under the weight of the snow, heavy, burdened, still. And then, as the sun rose, the snow slowly began to melt, drop by drop. And as it did, the branch rose again, effortless, unbroken. In that moment, I realized something profound. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is resilience. It is the strength to rise again. Not because the past didn't happen, but because you no longer wish to carry it. That day, I wrote my teacher a letter, not of blame, but of gratitude, for showing me the places in myself I still needed to heal. That was my alchemy. Not forgetting, but transforming. What about you? What pain in your heart is asking not to be erased, but to be reimagined? What story are you ready to rewrite? Because emotional mastery doesn't mean you feel less. It means you feel with wisdom. It means you allow your heart to break open, not apart. And through that opening, light enters, growth begins, and you become not a victim of your emotions, but their alchemist. So the next time your heart feels heavy, don't ask, "How do I get rid of this?" Ask instead, "What is this here to become?" Part 5. Radical acceptance. Peace through surrender. Resistance. It's where most of our suffering begins. We resist what we cannot change. We argue with reality. We try to rewrite the script of life, line by line, as if fighting it could set us free. But here is the truth. Acceptance is not weakness. It is not giving up. It is surrendering to what is, so that peace can finally enter. The Buddha told a story, a parable known as the 2 arrows. He said, when a person is struck by an arrow, they feel pain. But when that person resists the pain, when they obsess over it, replay it, rage against it, it's as if they are struck by a second arrow. And this second one, they fire themselves. Let that settle for a moment. How many times have you been pierced by something painful, a loss, a betrayal, a failure, and then kept wounding yourself again and again, not with the event, but with your resistance to it? The practice of letting go. Take a moment today, even now if you feel called. Make a simple list. One column, what I can control. Another, what I cannot. Be honest, be raw. Then, take the cannot list and tear it, burn it, bury it, or simply offer it to the wind, not as a ritual of despair, but as an act of liberation. This is how we begin to stop firing the second arrow. My story, grief and grace. When I lost my father, I did not grieve as a monk. I grieved as a son. His absence hollowed the air. I lit incense. I sat in silence. But inside, I was broken. Days passed, then weeks. And then one morning, as the sun crept through the temple window, I lit a single stick of incense before his photo. And with tears in my throat, I whispered, "I miss you." And then, "Thank you." In that moment, I wasn't fighting his death anymore. I wasn't asking why. I was accepting that his departure was part of the great rhythm of life, a mystery I could not solve, only bow to. And the peace that followed was like still water after a storm. This is radical acceptance. It doesn't mean we like what happened. It doesn't mean we stop striving for change. It means we release the illusion that we control everything. It means we live in reality, not in resistance to it, because life will bring waves, sometimes gentle, sometimes crashing. But it is only when we stop trying to push the ocean that we can learn to float. So let me ask you now, what are you still resisting? What have you been trying to control that's asking to be surrendered? And what would happen if, just for today, you allowed life to be exactly as it is? Maybe then peace will no longer be something you chase, but something you remember. Because acceptance is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of healing. Part 6. Visualization, seeing the self beyond limits. Visualization. It is not fantasy. It is not a trick of the mind or a New Age dream. It is a form of training, a spiritual rehearsal, not to escape life's difficulties, but to meet them with deeper wisdom. Let me ask you, when was the last time you saw yourself not as you are, but as you could be? Not in fear, not in self-doubt, but in wholeness. The mind is always seeing something, but most of the time it sees what we fear, not what we are capable of. What if we could teach it to see differently? Not by force, not by pretending, but by gently reintroducing ourselves to our own potential. A guided practice. Tonight, before sleep, close your eyes, not to drift into unconsciousness, but to awaken a new image within. Visualize a version of yourself facing a challenge. It could be one from today, or one you've been carrying silently for years. Now, picture your breath. Slow, grounded, unwavering. Picture your words. Calm, thoughtful, true. Picture your presence. Steady, unshaken, open. You're not running. You're not fighting. You are simply meeting life with clarity. Feel it. See it. And most of all, trust it. Repeat this vision each night, not to escape your life, but to step more fully into it. The lotus and the mud. In Buddhism, we speak often of the lotus. It blooms, yes, radiant, open. But where does it come from? From the mud, from the depth of still water, from places dark, heavy, and unseen. We do not visualize to avoid the mud. We visualize to remember that we were born to bloom through it. This is not about imagining perfection. It is about reawakening the truth that even in the hardest of circumstances, you are capable of peace, of wisdom, of grace, because you are not your fear. You are not your past. You are the one who rises. The deeper lesson. You become what you repeatedly believe, not instantly, but inevitably. And every time you see yourself with strength, every time you picture your calm breath, your wise voice, your steady hands, you are laying down new roots, new neural paths, new inner truths. So I ask you, what version of yourself are you rehearsing every day in silence? And more importantly, is that version worthy of who you truly are? Tonight, close your eyes, and instead of falling asleep to your fears, fall asleep to your potential, because the mind remembers what you give it, and the soul rises to what you dare to believe. Part 7. Curate your energy ecosystem. Energy. You cannot touch it, you cannot see it, and yet you feel it everywhere, in a room, in a conversation, even in the silence between your own thoughts. Energy is subtle, but real, and it is constantly shaping the quality of your inner world. Let me ask you this. When you walk into a space, do you feel more open or more guarded? When you leave a conversation, are you lighter or are you quietly drained? Most of us tend to our schedules, our goals, even our diets, but very few tend to the energy that surrounds and sustains us. And yet, this energy, your inner ecosystem, is sacred. A simple but powerful checklist. Take a quiet moment today and reflect. Who makes you feel lighter just by being near them? And who makes your breath feel just a little heavier? What media are you consuming each day? Does it elevate your spirit or pull you deeper into noise and comparison? Which habits nourish your body, your mind, your peace? And which ones chip away at your clarity, even if subtly? You don't need to change everything at once, but awareness is the beginning, and every small shift you make is a seed of transformation. Inside the monastery, energy in practice. In our monastery, we don't just sweep the floors, we cleanse the energy. After a heated discussion, we sit in silence, not to avoid, but to clear. After a celebration, we don't collapse in joy, we sweep the grounds. Not because the joy was wrong, but because balance is sacred. Everything carries a residue, and we believe the space should always be returned to stillness. What if you treated your home the same way? What if your digital spaces, your phone, your playlists, your inbox were as sacred as a temple? What if your mind was not just a storage room of thoughts, but a garden of intention? The deeper truth. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It is responsible. It is spiritual. You cannot offer peace to others from a place of depletion. You cannot uplift a room if you are silently sinking inside. So today, consider this. Where in your life is energy being drained? Not by what you do, but by what you tolerate. And where in your life is energy being restored? Even quietly, simply, lovingly? You don't need to retreat from the world, but you do need to be selective about what enters your world. You are a soul, not a sponge. And the more you honor that truth, the more your presence itself becomes medicine for others. Because when your energy is aligned, your words carry weight, your silence brings peace, and your very presence becomes a form of prayer. Conclusion: the path of inner peace. You may have arrived here searching for a way to quiet the noise, a way to let go of heaviness, a way to find peace, even in the middle of the storm. But what you've discovered is something far greater. Not just a method, not just a list of practices. What you found is a path, one that doesn't lead you away from life, but back into it, fully, bravely, gently. These 7 teachings are more than lessons. They are doorways, each one opening into the next. 1. The mindful awareness of your thoughts. To remember that you are the sky, not the storm. 2. Meditation. Not as an escape, but as your natural way of being. 3. Gratitude. Not as a list, but as a lens through which even pain becomes sacred. 4. Emotional alchemy. The art of turning wounds into wisdom. 5. Radical acceptance, choosing peace over resistance. 6. Visualization. Seeing your true self beyond fear and limitation. 7. Energy hygiene. Tending to your inner and outer world as a sacred space. Together, they will not remove pain from your life, but they will remove your fear of it. They do not promise perfection, but they do promise presence. And that is enough, because when you live this path, you don't just learn peace, you become it. So remember this: no thought is final, no emotion is permanent, but your awareness, steady, still, eternal, is always here. It does not judge. It does not rush. It simply waits for you to return. And whenever you are ready, the breath is here. The moment is now. The door is always open. Thank you for walking this journey with me. Until we meet again, may you be still. May you be seen. May you be free.